the guru of Squad 00, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do, one of the most notorious in YouTube Anime Manga Community. Don't doubt the infamy. Please, don't do it. Y'all see the title. Naruto and Bleach screwed the game up. Now, some people are already ready to type. Some people are already ready for the dislike. Look, if you don't know anything else about my channel, understand my motto. Logic, reason, facts, and evidence. Say it again with me. Logic, reason, facts, and evidence. I have some dudes I associate with, some homies and whatnot. They kind of joke about that on YouTube and, you know, Google and everything else. But I'm being dead serious. Logic, reason, facts, and evidence. The gist of this, the whole point of this video, it deals with the conversation I had with, you know, a friend of mine. Shout out to Fire Angel. He knows what's up, Fire Angel. Chris, I'm pretty sure he'll see this video. Naruto and Bleach screwed up when it comes to character goals, specifically with the protagonist goals. And while goals aren't essential in a series, a story, or a character, they are important nonetheless. Specifically in the shonen genre, demographic, whatever you want to refer to. I'll use it as genre in this specific situation because most protagonists have a goal that drives them, or sometimes multiple goals that drive them to execute what they need to do in the story, whatever the objective is or objectives are. Sometimes they're situational, sometimes they're short-term, sometimes they're mid-term, sometimes they're long-term goals. Often they're multiple goals, or things that tie into the goals. See, the goals in shonen manga specifically, you can say anime as well, but specifically with the manga, they're not just simply there for objectives. They're there to make the plot, they're centric to the plot, they're a focal point to the plot. If you're referring to geometry, they're the vertice of the plot. They're essential, or they become essential later on in the series. Not only to the plot, but to the characterization and character development. Characterization, whether it be direct or indirect. To the character, to the protagonist. The huge motivations. They are ambitions. They drive the character to do what he or she needs be done. Also, they help to keep the story focused. They're like an outline. And it doesn't allow for a deviation of derailment that often can occur if the story isn't planned out. It helps plan out the series. And what do I mean by this? Let's begin with Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, and with Bleach, Kurosaki Ichigo. Now, with Uzumaki Naruto, what is his goal? There were two goals. A lot of people screw this up as to what the main goal of Naruto was. The main goal of Naruto was not to become Hokage. That is the common thing. That's why a lot of people miss it. That's part of the reason what screws up the character of Naruto. But that's the secondary goal. It screwed up. It screwed him up. But the biggest goal and where the story headed to is a problem because of how vague it was. The main goal, the primary goal of Uzumaki Naruto was to be accepted by the village. Hokage was a secondary goal. Why was it important? Because he thought from when he was a child, when the story first began in chapter 1, episode 1, he thought that was the best option to get there. Episode 1, chapter 1, chapters, pretty much the first 5 chapters, let's put it that way. First 5 to 10 chapters. He said, I'm going to become Hokage. But his whole thing from when he started was because he wanted to be accepted by the village. Remember, as many people have stated, he was considered a demon. He was an outcast. Y'all know the whole backstory if y'all know Naruto. Okay? It's been said to ad nauseum in this community. And usually in a positive. In this case, it tends to be a negative. Not, except, look, he got this beast put inside him by his father, and I've talked about this in the past, so I won't go too hardcore into that. But why was both goals a problem? Number one, if you begin with the secondary goal, which was to become Hokage. Hokage was not necessary for the first goal. It was a different goal altogether. Naruto didn't understand what it meant to be Hokage. Kishimoto tried to retcon and try to play it off. It was getting somewhere until he kind of just screwed it up in the end. But with Sasuke saying, you know, the different ideologies with what it means to be Hokage, that should have been a theme throughout, or at least a sub-theme throughout the entirety of the series, if you want to play that off. You can't just retcon and say, Naruto never explained early on as to why he wanted to become Hokage. I want to be Hokage, believe it. I want to be Hokage, I want to be Hokage, I want to be Hokage. He kind of hinted at it. When I say explain, he never explained his thought process as to why become Hokage. Now, some will disagree with this. That's cool if you do. But when I'm saying as to what Hokage truly was, he started talking about that towards the end of the series. This is true. But by the time he's talking about that, he already had this uber idealistic ideology that was so far removed from reality, it's almost like he didn't even live in the shinobi world. It was truly absurd. Now, he seems to have matured, and of course, Kishimoto just cuts that out from chapter 699 to chapter 7. Was it 700? So it wasn't 701. I think it was 700. 699, 700. We have at least a decade, and he seems to have matured, and he seems to get it. Okay, whatever his view is, it's seeming to have shifted. But of course, Kishimoto decided to focus a bunch on the young and didn't give us the proper, you know, time. We didn't get time skips, which we should have gotten in the series. Yeah, we got one. But with the time, it should have been multiple time skips because this was supposed to be somewhat of a building his romance story, a coming-of-age story for Naruto. And that affected his goal, his secondary goal. Now, his first goal, here's the problem. He completed that in quote-unquote part 1. He completed that pretty much, if not right before the time skip, you could definitely say he completed it after the time skip with the Pain/Nagato arc. He already completed his main goal, so what now? You could say, well, he should finish his secondary goal, but it wasn't imperative. In fact, just proved that it was not imperative to this series, nor to the character, as far as Hokage is concerned. He was willing to give that up to Sasuke or whoever else. He said, man, I ain't gonna become Hokage till I bring back Sasuke. What if he never would have brought back Sasuke? Oh, did that ever occur to you? You get what I'm saying? Get what I'm saying, excuse me? The goals got screwed up. And so the fact that people don't, you know, there's a lot of people who came into the, specifically YouTube Anime Manga Community, with the ideology of goals, you know, they're not important. That's what you get from this mishandling of the goals of the protagonist. Whether people consciously understand this, it's a subconscious thing. Specifically, if this was the first anime for a lot of people, and they're not exposed to a lot of shonen, or they won't go in depth with other series. They're just in there for entertainment. They're not thinking. So they bring this mentality and don't understand other protagonists. Now with Kurosaki Ichigo, let's be real, people. Ichigo has no goal. He has no motivation, according to him. This is his motivation, his grand motivation for a long-running series. A long-running series. I know a lot of people talk about Son Goku, Kakarot. This is not true with the same as it is with Ichigo, and I'll explain shortly. With Ichigo, his goal is to protect his friends. That is not a goal, ladies and gentlemen. That is not a goal. Technically, it's not really an achievable one because it's so vague. It's so open-ended. Protect them from what? Number one. See, if it was a goal, he could say, I'm going to protect their lives in such and such a fashion. I'm going to help them out, you know, protect them from emotional stress, pain, other said factors. You could be more specific. Why do you want to protect your friends? Ichigo? Anybody? Maybe I missed something in the series of Bleach, but I never got a clear conclusion as to why Ichigo views that he needs to protect. Full blown. But is he really about protecting his friend? That's a whole entire different debate one could propose. An argument that one could definitely propose. But honestly, who is his friends? I mean, okay, you got the Chad Orihime situation. But then Rukia, who he didn't know. And I'm not saying you can't make friends, you can't make them quickly. But you're willing to throw everything on the line just because you got what? Because you got these power... the whole thing with Rukia... That's your friend? What, all of the Shinigami who are antagonistic towards you are now your friends? Like, who are hard? I don't understand Ichigo's understanding of what a friend is. And protecting your friends, okay. So if that was really what he's about, this is why I don't buy it. It's not realistic or nor believable. If he was really about that, and that really was what he was, you know, his whole striving thing, why is he not training? You can say, oh, he's throwing this situation. No, you take a step back and say, your ass ain't ready. I'm not ready. Period. You damn should. Look at so many other series I can present. They actually train. They put in the work. So that they know that they're ready to do it. If nothing else, Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece. 2-year time skip, ladies and gentlemen. What he say? Son Goku. Even in Dragon Ball Super recently, what he tell his son Goten specifically in the manga. He say, I train because I got to be ready. You got to be ready to put in work. Pure and simple. You can't keep throw yourself in a situation, specifically you're not skilled, you don't know. Or you can say, oh, he trained 3 days training in the Royal Palace. I'm sorry. No, that is not training. You've had Shinigami been around for like centuries, okay? You had people that's been around a long time. You new to the game and you ain't trained. Okay, he got a little bit of something with Uehara. You got many protagonists, and this is why I'll give at least some credit to Naruto, who willing to throw that, they ready to train and put in some kind of work all the time. You know, they steady trying to put in work, trying to improve themselves. Do you get that from Ichigo? I'm sorry. So how and what way does he complete his goal? How is his goal being achieved? Because it's so open-endedly vague, what does that entail? It shows no relevance to the plot, really. Because look at it. Okay, you can say, well, protecting the Shinigami. I'm at a loss. Protecting the Shinigami. Is that protecting his friends? If he's protecting his friends, why is he throwing hands in it? Why is he, you know, constantly getting in affairs that they have nothing to do with him? I'm confused. It is very confusing as to what Ichigo's whole point and relevance to the stories, besides being pretty much the relevance it seems to be, is that he is as I often said, a hybrid of Hollow, Shinigami, Quincy, Fullbringer, Human, Quincy, Hollow, Shinigami, Fullbringer. That seems to be his relevance in. As far as protecting everybody, he be doing dumb stuff as well. If he was about protecting, he would be considering, make sure this, and this is situation. And then the whole thing with Grimjow, you know, he be so like his mind's all over the place. He makes no sense. If you're gonna criticize Uchiha Sasuke for having his emotional and mental issues, you better criticize Kurosaki Ichigo for his inconsistencies. Now, why does this truly screw it up? Because a lot of people don't understand shonen anime and manga, specifically the manga, about this. Goals are imperative. They've been made to be a point of many, if not all, shonen series. The ones I can think of, classic, you know, One Piece. I'll present several, okay, and hopefully you'll get the gist of where I'm going with this. One Piece. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy. His goal is to become Pirate King. What does that mean to him? Now, Pirate King to him, according to Luffy, is the freest man on the sea. Now, I love what Crow Provide actually talked about the whole freedom of Luffy in one of his chapter reviews. But the thing is, you know, the whole he doesn't need to be free, you know, what does that really mean? Well, it ties in, actually, Oda has done a phenomenal job of consistently pushing his main themes. not in a obnoxious manner, but pushing them to their relevance and importance, the prevalence into the series of One Piece. The three main themes of One Piece are freedom, balance of power, and justice. Specifically, what is justice? Freedom. The fact that the main character, the protagonist's goal has to do with that just furthers the theme, which furthers the plot. Pirate King, he made it to where there's a lockdown. Okay, this is the objective. This is where the story goes. Now you can expand on what does it mean to become Pirate King. What is the essentials? Now you have a layout and outline. It's still a big deal. It's a big thing. But it allows for wiggle room, but it also allows for a concrete foundation. The framework was set from day one, and he's just been adding more details, intricacies to what it means to become Pirate King. Specifically in this era, because it seemingly is a different, how should I say? Different, not objective. Bit of objective, because when Goldie Roger became Pirate King, there wasn't a Pirate King form, but it's a different manner, and there's different obstacles in this day to becoming Pirate King. Specifically, the fact that there has already been a Pirate King, but the thing is, there's only been one Pirate King, so it's not like there's a lot of precedent to go off of, and there's not much known, at least to us and to Luffy, about what Goldie Roger went through, and nor the Roger Pirates, and all of what went down back in the day. So Luffy's kind of shooting in the dark here, okay? Unlike with Naruto that had the whole Hokage and being accepted. You understand what I'm saying? But there's a clear-cut objective. When you go with Dragon Ball, Son Goku had multiple goals, okay? The thing about it is, he had the Dragon Balls, the quest for the Dragon Balls. Then he had the whole training aspect in the World Martial Arts Tournaments. He had the training at Kami's Tower, going then up to Kami's Tower, Mr. Popo, and then training there for 3 years to defeat. You know, before that, it was the fight Mercenary Town Demon King Piccolo. It was the training to fight and defeat Piccolo Jr. And, you know, it was his goal as a student, a young man, a warrior, then eventually as a father, and eventually as a sensei. We didn't really get to see that part because that was the end of the series with Oob. But eventually, yeah, it was to protect Earth. But that wasn't his only goal. That came much later in his life. That came much later in the series. His whole Earth Protector deal, honestly, wasn't until, you can say, the Cell Saga, to be honest with you. Because if you think about it like this, coming after the time skip, this is in the, even though Dragon Ball Z does not technically exist, after the time skip, when Raditz and Sand show up, it wasn't more so about protecting Earth as it was about fighting at first. Fighting powerful opponents. Protecting Earth was like a secondary notion. And then they went to Namek. Frieza wouldn't have known about it. They went to Namek. Okay? Pure and simple. They went to Namek. And then you had Cell and Majin Buu. Then it became, okay, now I gotta protect. Especially after he saw that the mantle was not being passed on to either of his sons or the other. So it became him and Vegeta, specifically Goku, but Vegeta alongside, eventually, after his whole encounter, you know, his fight with Goku, and after his sacrifice, and they come back. Now, their mindset is, by the end of the series, okay, now, we're going to be Earth's protectors. That wasn't the entire series. Are you kidding me? Like, people, seriously, go back and actually read and or watch the series of Dragon Ball and try to tell me and bring that nonsense. Oh, Dragon Ball, his whole point wasn't simply to protect the Earth. That wasn't his whole objective, his motive, no. That came very late in the series as a definite concrete goal. Out of necessity and out of understanding and maturity as well. And understanding what it truly meant to be a warrior. As well as a father and everything else. And there's that aspect. You go into Hunter x Hunter. That Hunter x Hunter greatness. Yes, amongst all these other great series. Hunter x Hunter. Here's another mist. Just like they messed up with Naruto, they messed up with Gon Freaks. Gon Freaks' objective, His main goal was not to find his father. That was a secondary goal. An important one, but why a lot of people don't understand the continuation of the series and why Gene Freaks being introduced was a phenomenal job actually by Yoshihiro Togashi at this point. Not expected, but makes a lot of sense. Because the main goal was to understand why his father chose to become a hunter over raising his son. That's fact. Go back to the beginning of the series and try to tell me that is not what Gon, and then specifically, if finding his father was the goal, on 2 occasions, he had the opportunity to find the information truly to, find him. You had the first opportunity with the whole why he went into Greed Island and kind of sort of when he left Greed Island. They were to go to Gene, but not really. Like, it was weird when he left. But specifically, he could have heard about his mother. He could have heard information. He chose not to. He's training to get stronger. He's about his old friends and blah, blah, blah. He's trying to understand this whole hunter lifestyle. He met his father. Obviously, that wasn't the end game because you saw his interaction with his father. He said he thinks of him more as this long lost friend or relative that he doesn't really know. Come on, people, you put 2 and 2 together. Like, this is basic stuff. And his motivation to become a hunter, just like Luffy's goal to become Pirate King, it drives Gon Freaks' character. It drives the plot in many ways. And now we're getting Gene Freaks. Or whenever Togashi decides to come off his hiatus, his long hiatus yet again. Hopefully it's not like another 8-year one or whatever. But Togashi is now putting forth Gene Freaks as seemingly the pivotal play. He's taken away the protagonist and deuteragonist and Gon Freaks and Killer Zodic and replaced the main focus with Gene Freaks. You also have Kurapika coming back in the big plan, as well as Leorio, which, thank you Togashi for bringing back your other 2 main characters. But Gene Freaks is now focused. So, you get what I'm saying? Shingeki no Kyojin, I gotta catch up completely, but, you know, it was presented to find the basement, and that was a big driving force, with Eren Yeager. Let's see, other series. Oh, Hajime no Ippo. The whole thing, the sidetrack, and again, this is another prime example of Shonen doing this. That shows the secondary goal of fighting Miyata Ichiro was not the main goal. It was from the beginning of the story. And it'd been so long, I had forgot about it. But the beginning of Ippo, Makunouchi Ippo's objective, his goal, and Coach Kamigawa had to remind him, and others kind of did too. What does it mean to be strong? I want to become strong. And he's constantly repeated that. Specifically after Ichiro, after Miyata is out the way. His secondary goal out the way. So he's back and focused to his main goal. And he's constantly being confronted with her. And, you know, and hopefully it starts to take shape with his confidence and other things. But he wants to be strong. The Baki series. Hanma Baki, another example of goals. It shows that it's much different and more laid out and more concrete and more important to the plot than what was presented in Naruto and Bleach. Hamabaki's original thing is to become strong enough to be able to fight his father or possibly kill him. But as time went on, as he matured in a bit of coming of age, building his romance, becoming a man, a young man, the strength and his battles and his understanding of the world of martial arts and his understanding of his father, the more he understands the world of martial arts and specifically the real martial arts and this in-depth and this superhuman world in which he and the other top tiers, specifically the top tiers in the series of Baki, in the Baki world, he understands his father and he comes to accept his father. And he comes to accept his father for who he is. And he's also the inheritor of the Hanma blood. And there's other aspects of him in the spoiling series. But the thing is, he's become more like his father. And all he wants is a father-son relationship. And then you see Baki, son of Oba, you know, you transition from the grapple Baki, new grapple Baki, and the more he's preparing, and then the more he battles, there's a change in him. And then his relationships with other individuals, such as Rochidoko, the young lady that, the romantic relationship he had, and we go on from there. Retsu, Kaio, and other ones. When he battled and he saw the prisoners in the new prison arc, his experiences helped mold him and shape him differently. And then thoroughly his battle with his father at the end of the third series, Baki Summer Over, it showed that his goal, he said he didn't care about being the strongest. So let's show the shift. Is it a retcon? Is it no? Because in the end, his real main objective, kind of similar to Ippo's, Makunouchi Ippo's, where he wanted to become strong for himself, really. The whole his father thing was more of a secondary goal. He wanted to be the best he can be. And he still strives for that in Bakido, or the way of Baki. In this one, he wants to, now, the whole thing is, he wants to fight the best. He doesn't necessarily want to be the best, but he wants to fight the best. He proved that he can be the best that he can be. Now he kind of wants to live up to his father's expectation. And the whole thing, the dynamics is unshifted, but it showcased that this whole thing about the thing with his father was only a secondary one, and it goes back to his main thing you get from chapter 1. He fights, not just for the sake of fighting, he fights to kind of find validation in himself. There's a whole lot of things, and I won't go into the whole series of Baki, but there is that. You can present series after series. I presented, what, 5? Yeah, 5. And you can present more series, and a little bit with Eren Yeager and Shingeki no Kyojin / Attack on Titan. But you can go in various other ones. I'll briefly mention a couple old school. About 3, I guess. There's Star Blazers, Battleship Yamamoto, with the protagonist there, and the whole thing of find, this thing to save Earth. That kind of was a whole crew, but, and it allowed him, and the whole thing was broke. And then there was elements of that. I have to get back into the series to go more in depth with it. There's, Astro Boy, where he wanted to be accepted as a human along with the other robots, but specifically him and in his case, and how he was treated by his father, his creator, and then accepted. He wanted to not only be accepted by his surrogate father, by his adopted father, but by humanity. And in doing so, it kind of forces him into crazy situations. And it kind of, it pushes along the plot, but in a very positive way, and it makes you think. I guess I can go in more than I thought I was going to. Mutant Sabu, and understanding his abilities and powers and whatnot, and seeing if he can, if this whole race, finding others like him. Then there was, I guess the final one I'll lay out here is Outlaw Star, and with eventually finding the galactic way on what it's about, and along the way the themes of what does it mean to be human, and the whole pirates, outlaws, federation, everything tied to get into the finding the galactic ley line, and the whole thing about humanity as a theme. The themes backed up the goal. They all intertwine with each other. That's my whole point. Naruto and Bleach screwed the game up because the goals, they weren't really goals, so to say, that had any firm footing, nor did they intertwine with the plot. And that being so, you get haphazard writing at times, and you get inconsistencies with the characters. Because once the character interact, specifically these kind of stories where the protagonist is so valuable to the series that the interactions that the characters have with them, because the character's inconsistency, that sends ripples. specifically in Naruto, where all these characters seemingly adopt, for the most part, his ideology, which is not realistic. But again, his views on his goals were in themselves unrealistic. You understand? So the mangaka kind of forced himself to make for their acceptance. They were accepting an irrational philosophy and ideology. In the series with Bleach, Ichigo is just more or less just there. He's just there in the fact that if you could interchange him out for other protagonists. Now, you can argue that in Naruto, but for a completely different reason from what I'm about to say with Bleach. Ichigo is not, I can't say he's not relevant, but he's not honestly necessary for the plot of the series of Bleach. At this point, you could have replaced him with multiple characters and you still could have had the almost same story. That's the position that Kubo has written himself into. It is what it is. But hopefully in this long video, because I know this is long for a lot of people, I broke down in a simplistic manner as to why this lack of goals has affected the views of a lot of people. It's affected because they don't understand the importance of goals in the shonen genre. And because you don't understand the importance of goals in the shonen genre, you miss the foundation. You don't think it's necessary. You can just think that these characters can just change up in such dramatic fashions. Or you think that other characters should get all this crazy shine or shouldn't get the shine. Like, people's understandings of the stories themselves and the characters suffer because of this lack of understanding of the importance of goals in the shonen genre. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on the fact, on this subject, on this topic, and see you next time. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.